All right, so for the National Latin exam, we did kind of have to already go over this topic, so this might be familiar to you, but now you are going to have officially learned it after today. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the imperfect tense. All right, so at the top, please write that. All right, in terms of font size, can everyone read that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wait, I can give myself lines. I always forget I can do that. Wait, maybe I can't. Maybe I can't. No, I guess I can't. That's okay. Whatever. All right. Okay, so when we're talking about verbs, what are the characteristics that we know? There should be 5. Asher, give me one.
It's in the past, present, or future.
Past, present, or future. What do we call that? Tense. Okay, so one of the categories is tense. What's another? Matthew? Number, good. Okay, what's another, Marion? Person, good. Okay, what's another? Matthew?
Mood.
Good, mood. Okay, and does anyone happen to know the last one, even if we haven't really touched it yet?
Perfect or imperfect?
It's the difference between active and passive. So voice, yeah. Okay, now with respect, just to kind of like give you guys a quick little side note, nouns have characteristics too. The only characteristic that nouns and verbs have in common is number. Okay, nouns have number and verbs have number. Otherwise, all the rest of them are only applicable to verbs. Cool? Okay, just like a quick side note. All right, so today we're going to be talking about tense. What tenses do we know so far? The present tense. Okay.
Imperfect.
All right. Now, in order to, well, maybe I won't get into that. All right. Does everyone have this down? Can I scroll? Yeah? Okay. Because this should all be review anyhow. All right. So just to kind of give you, how many of you find that it's helpful when you're looking at grammar to kind of know the overarching scheme and then figure out where things go? Is that helpful for some of you? Or would you prefer to just like learn this thing and then figure out where it goes later?
What is that?
The first one? Okay. All right, so let me explain it this way then. All right, so in Latin, there are 6 verb tenses. 6 tenses, all right? So that's a fact. Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, English does use some of these as well. So they're not, you might use a lot of these, you just probably don't realize that you're using it because we don't teach, actual English grammar all the time. Should I yell at them and tell them to go away? Is there a teacher with them?
No, that's actually disgusting.
No, they're being distracting. Stop standing there romantically under the tree. That's really weird.
Like a napkin and tissue.
There's tissues to your left. You're right, sorry. Okay, so there are 6 tenses, and they go as follows. All right? Present tense, imperfect tense, and the future tense. Okay, and then the other 6 are the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect. Okay. So far, so good?
Well, I think, 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 I think
Excuse me. Yikes. Okay. All right, now you'll notice, excuse me, oh my gosh, water went down the wrong pipe. All right, so I broke these up. There are 6 tenses here, but I broke them up like this on purpose. In Latin, there are what we call verb systems, okay? And there are only 2 of them. The first one is the present verb system. And the other is the perfect verb system. Okay. Now, above where we wrote the tenses, we've got these 3 as a group, okay? And then we've got these 3 as a group. Which group do you think belongs to the present verb system? The one on the left, yeah. Okay, so this includes the present. Let's rewrite it there. The imperfect and the future. Okay, which means that which ones belong to the perfect verb system? The other ones. Okay, the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect. It's a type of past. Had been. That's the pluperfect. Okay. Now, just for like the grand scheme of things, there are like the ones that you might recognize from your English class, right? You know what the present tense is. Okay, what other ones do we recognize from English class? The future and the past. Okay. Now, I will tell you that the imperfect, the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect are all ways to refer to the past in Latin. Okay. So from a linguistic perspective, you can actually tell a lot about the way a person thinks by the way that the language structures their verb usage. Right? So if a language has one way to talk about the present and one way to talk about the future, but 4 ways to talk about the past, what is the emphasis on for that culture, would you think? Probably the past, right? Tradition. Okay, so that's just kind of like one thing you can kind of think about for fun if you ever study another language. Okay, now what's easy about this, these verb systems require that you use different principal parts. What do I mean when I say principal parts? What are those? There's usually 4, right? Okay, so if you have a verb, like let's take an example. Let's put it in a different color. Okay, let's say amo, amare, amawi, amatus. Okay, these are the principal parts of that verb. Okay, for the present system, you're going to use this one. What do we call this one? Yeah. Okay, so we'll write that. The present verb system uses the second. Can I write PP? Will you understand what PP means? Okay, in parentheses, I'll write the infinitive so you have a little bit more of a understanding. Okay, but the perfect verb system uses the third principal part. Okay, so grand scheme of things, right now, we know the present tense, and we're going to talk about the imperfect tense. So which principal part is going to be absolutely crucial for us? The second principal part. Good. Should you know all 4, though? Yes. Yes, you should. Yes, Matthew. Say that again? Like this principal part, what's it called? That is, so technically you can call it one of two things. You can call it well, I'll tell you what it is exactly. It's the first person singular perfect form. Right, so remember when we were learning our verbs in the beginning, I told you like each principal part means something specific. Does anyone remember that pattern? I'll start it off. I love, to love. All right, so you got I love, to love, I loved, and loved. Okay, so really all this amawi, this third principal part is just the first, like the first perfect first person singular. So it's I loved. That's how you would say that. That's what it translates to. Yes, Matthew.
Is there a way to figure out what the third is?
Like if you know the first and the second, but you don't know the third, like is there a pattern to follow? Is that what you're asking? Okay. Yes and no. Most of the time, first conjugation verbs, like the ones that have the infinitive that end in are, like this one, amo, amare, it's going to follow that typical first conjugation pattern. Amo, amare, amawi, amatos. Paro, parare, parawi, paratos. But once you move out of the first conjugation, it gets a little less consistent. Let's say it that way. Okay, but don't worry about that too much. When we talk about the perfect tense, which we will, that'll become a little more clear. I'll show you how to recognize them at the very least. But that's a good question, though. Okay, so does anyone remember so far, like systematically, is this okay? Like we've got two verb systems and there are three tenses for each verb system. All right, so just for today's lesson, I suppose, we're going to don't cross this off, but we're going to kind of forget about that. And we're going to forget about the future as well. We're just going to deal with the present and the imperfect, okay? But don't cross that out on your notes. Just like have this. Oh, did you? I said it before I crossed it out. Matthew. Okay, it's not that bad. All right.
I actually just got tempted to cross it off too.
Did you?
You're not.
Okay, so to conjugate in the present tense, well, actually, to conjugate just in general, what are the steps? What do you have to find? Okay, which principal part is that? Good. Okay, then what must you do? Pop off something. Good. Okay, and then what do? You add something. Endings, yes. Okay, now this is super easy. Okay, so the present tense, singular and plural, bloop, 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 bloop. First person, second, third. Yes. Okay, what are my endings for the present tense? Yep, O, S, T, mus, TIS, NT. Okay, now the imperfect is very similar. Okay, let's. All right, does anyone remember what the imperfect is? Or at least what are the two letters that are common in the imperfect? BA, yeah, those are our tense markers. So we've got bomb. Let's follow the pattern. So we've got O, S. What comes next? So bomb, boss. What comes next? And then? Yep. Yep. Ba'o. Because that, well, does that sound right to you? Ba'o. Maybe in another language, but in the Latin mouth that what? Bao buns? What are you talking
Have you
about?
seen that short, that little Pixar short?
Oh, the little dumpling kid thing, the bao bun or something. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know of it. Okay. So this is just to conjugate in the imperfect tense. It's the same process that we did in the present tense, but now we're just adding a different set of endings. All right, so let's do an example over here. All right, let's take a verb, shall we? Okay, so we got verbero, verberare. Can someone finish that? What are the last two principal parts? Good. Whoops. Okay, so if we follow the steps, we find our infinitive, which is verberare, okay? Then we got to take something away, so what goes away? That RE goes away. So our present stem is verbera. We're going to label that, present stem. And what's cool is if you look up a little bit, right? Verbera, the present stem, you're going to use it for the present tense, the imperfect tense, and the future tense. That's why we call it the present stem. So we're going to use it for 3 tenses, which is nice. Okay? The endings are just different. So far, so good? Okay. So let's conjugate. Verbera. How do I say I was beating? Verbera bam. Okay, and let's put our translation underneath. I was hitting, or I was beating. Okay. How do I say you were beating? Verbera bas. Yep. And what does that mean? Whoops. I put the U over there. Mm-hmm. Werberat? Werberat? Werebot? That's a different verb. Where be careful. Be careful. Werberabat. Okay, so you've got your stem werbera plus bat. You have to be super, super careful and meticulous when you are conjugating. Okay, be very careful. Because if you drop a letter, that's going to change it. It's going to mess it up. Okay, so we'll just say for, oh no, we have to change the color here. Okay, we'll just say he was beating. Okay, how do I say we were beating? Werbera vamos. Yeah, that's we. We. Oh, what did you think I said? Ah, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, wherebera vamos is we were beating. How do I say y'all were beating? Wherebera bates. Good.
Were you saying that there was like different words for chicken and like chicken eating?
Correct. I did say that.
Is that the same with everything? Like cow? Where does cow stay?
That I don't know. I think there is a word for meat, but it's like a little bit more general. I think it refers to red meat specifically, though. Uh, I think it's like. Give me a second. It's in there. It's like carne or something like that. Yeah. So the word for cow is waka, but the word for like meat that you would eat, I guess, is like caro caris. I think is how. Caudus, yeah. Yes.
Can I just stop that? A little bit off that. I was like, I don't know.
I write, you write. Squeeze it in. You have to. You have to. You have to.
I don't tell her.
You don't tell her what?
That you're not writing it? Yes, but when it comes time to study and you're like, I don't have any notes on this, then don't come crying to me. All right, from this point out, if you don't have notes for this, this is on you. It's not on me because I did this.
I knew this part already.
Mm-hmm. We've been down this road before, my child. I know this already, but do we? Thank you. Whoops. My bad.
Oh, what happened?
I just hit the back button by accident.
So you used notability?
Yes.
I used notability.
Okay, does everyone have this?
Yes.
Yes, it is notability.
You know, I'm so glad we have context for this because if someone walked in and just heard this would be repeating.
Oh, Latin's like that though. Like all the other classes learn how to order hamburgers in a cafe, and we're just like, the slave was being beaten.
Okay, New Year's, Christmas.
Yeah. It's okay. All right, I'm moving on. Okay. Oh, sorry. Is that fine? Is this good? Like that? Neat. Okay. Now, as far as translation goes, yeah, let's go through it. Okay, can you stop mumbling to yourselves back there in like weird hushed tones? No, not even. You're talking normal volume. Just shush. Okay, so the imperfect tense. Let's write some things we know. All right, so one thing we know, what kind of tense is it? Is it present, past, or future? It's a type of past tense, okay? Often, it is translated as what? Like, what do I say? Yeah, okay, translated either as was blanking or used to blank. Okay, that's also, whoops, I don't know why I wrote blank. I meant to write the line. Okay, so those are two potential translations for it. All right, what else we know about the imperfect tense is that it is the way that the Romans describe continuous action. Okay, so listen to the difference. I traveled. If I said that, I traveled to China. Does that sound complete or like I could still be traveling right now? It's done. It's complete, okay? But if I were to say I was traveling, yeah, it's not, or like it could be continually happening still. We don't know for sure. Okay, so that's what I mean by continuous action, right? It could still be happening. We need a little more information about it. Okay? By the way, in terms of grand schemes of things, right? The imperfect is continuous action, whereas the perfect is completed action, right? And if you look at that word, it actually does make sense. Im in English just negates a word. So, and perfect means complete. So imperfect just means not complete, i.e. continuous. Okay? Sorry, you have to do a little bit of mental gymnastics to get there, but all right.
That's why it's called the imperfect, because it's not a complete finality. It's just like you could still be traveling, like you said.
Yep. All right, so tense marker. What are the two letters that we often see in the imperfect tense again? Ba. Yes. Yep. Okay, so those are the basics of the imperfect tense. Do we have any questions on them? Okay, these are like our big takeaways from the day. Yes? Okay. Now, we've seen the imperfect with regular verbs. Okay, but now let's talk about the imperfect with irregulars. Oh, sorry, do you need that? Okay, actually, you know what? I think I don't want to overload you. Is this okay for today? All right, we'll pick it up again on Thursday.